welcome to a new era. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to talk about Internet of Things, machine learning, bots. Today, the burden of the business is not innovations, neither profits nor competition. Today, the burden is the scarcity of resources. And I am going to talk about one source in particular, human capital. But what's the problem that we have with working force? I'll bring in some statistics and I will start with Europe. We have already 4 generations, all of them with their differences. While baby boomers are trying actually to decide where they're going to retire, states are deciding how to increase the age of retirement. Now it varies between 52 to 72 years old, but in the next couple of years it will grow with 1 to 5 years. So at some point we are going to retire at an average of 67 years old. Generation X, they're stuck in finding the balance between work and life. 40% of the women in Europe are already working part-time, primarily by choice. And men are also entering this heap with a little bit of variety. 3.5% for Poland, 12% for UK and Germany, 24% in the Netherlands. My generation. We are suffering from something that I call the self-determination syndrome. We don't know what to do. 4 different jobs within our first decade. 49% of us take sabbatical. 7% change our career path prior to entering our 40s. And Generation Z. They are entering the working force right now with creating such a disturbance that we're talking about them right now. What is the situation in Bulgaria? Unfortunately, it's worse. In the last 30 years, the population has shrunk with 1.85 million. 1 million people of working age are abroad. By 2030, the average working force will be of age 50 to 54. By 2050, it will be 60 to 64 years. Some of us might never get retired. Even further, every 5th person between 15 to 24 years old is neither working or any kind of education or training. Particularly they are lost for the working force. So it's not to wonder that last year companies stated that 55% of them are having trouble with finding personnel. And we are not talking about skills or specialists. We are talking about personnel of any kind. And here we come to the trend called the employer branding. But what actually people and companies are ready to do? Companies are ready to do anything. They're creating a whole new level of tactics that are mixed between HR, marketing, PR, advertising. Whatever we need to create a net to catch the golden fishes, the so-called young talents. We have even went one step further, creating the so-called magnetic brand. We are attracting not only people, but also attracting stakeholders. But actually, companies are becoming even more innovative. They are entering such things like bots, automation, machine learning, but I'm not going to talk about this. Because my point is that companies will do anything. And if we step out of the employer shoes and go into your shoes of the young talents, it's time to ask the question, why? Why should you bother to be creative, to learn new skills, to be adaptive, to be on time, to keep deadlines, to become talents? At the end of the day, companies will hire you simply because they need to fill in the gap. Or they will switch you with robots simply because they need to fill the gap. And what are we going to do in the next 20 years? In the next 40 years? Remember that I told you that we are going to retire at the age of 67 plus? I believe that the system needs to keep the balance. One thing steps away to come the next thing in. In the past century, we were hiring people to drive the carriage. Today, we hire people to drive the bus. And in economics, there is something that is called the golden rule about demand and supply. But the trick here is that with the speed with which technology is entering our life and entering our work, it's really key how fast we can adapt. And here come to my personal storytelling, which I want to share with you. I graduated the American University back in 2006. My dream was to become a TV journalist. I spent 3 months in the Bulgarian national television to find out that journalism in Bulgaria has nothing to do with professionalism or ethics. It was a show that had to go on and on 24/7. And I have to be quick. So I jumped into PR. I worked for an international PR agency. I worked for a local agency. I founded my own communication agency. Then I headed an agency that was a top name in the advertising business. And in 2015, I realized that actually journalism in Bulgaria was dying. And with no journalism, what I'm going to do in PR? So I quit. I took a couple of months. I had to decide what I'm going to do the next decade. After all, I am 36 years old. I have a lot of time to reach retirement. And I was introduced to employer branding. It's a fascinating world. It's new. I can create. I can experiment. I learn new things. It's exciting and I love it. But at this point, if I give my CV to an HR specialist, he will be totally disappointed. 12 years, 6 job positions, 3 of them in closer but different field. He will never realize the skills and experience that I have amassed through these years. I have covered the NATO summit in Istanbul. I manage crisis communications on national and international level. I explained to common people what is the European Union prior to entering the Union. I have managed campaigns that were teaching children to read and motivating them to continue their education. And so many things that I can't name them. I manage people, I manage budgets worth of millions of euros, I manage companies. And if you today ask me why? I will tell you. My Drive was my favorite poem. If there is nothing to offer to the world, why we were born? We don't need neither the glory nor the fate of the greatest minds, but we do need the gratitude of the next generation. Thank you.